charged with a violent and heinous crime, and I will ensure that my office continues the prosecution of Mr. Thomas to guarantee that justice is served. Fear has spread through our community, and we must restore peace.
Well, that was Tom Walsh, District Attorney of Rockland County, New York, after prosecutors charged Grafton Thomas in the Hanukkah stabbings with 6 counts of attempted murder in the second degree and several other charges, including assault, attempted assault, and burglary. As you may know, 5 people were injured when the 37-year-old man allegedly broke into the home of a rabbi during Hanukkah celebration last week and attacked the people there with a machete. One elderly victim remains in a coma, and we are told he may never wake up. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo calling it an act of domestic terrorism, but the suspect's family say he is profoundly mentally ill. Mercedes Colwin joins us, Fox News legal analyst, and Vinoo, a criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor. Good to see you both.
Good to see you, Eric.
The line between mental illness and being in your right mind and an hate crime, anti-Semitic attack. What is the challenge that prosecutors have with
The biggest challenge, of course, is one that so far we don't really have evidence of this mental illness, although the attorneys have come forward and he's been very aggressive in setting forth that his client is profoundly mentally ill. He's got the evidence, but he has writings, text messages, apparently all of these materials that show that there might be some sort of mental illness. But the big issue for the prosecution is, what's the experts going to say? If you're going to have the defense are going to arm up with experts, the experts are going to come forward. They'll have some sort of psychological evaluation of him, and then ultimately it's going to be the word of that expert and whether or not they can prove he's mentally ill.
And Vinoo, his defense attorney had a news conference saying he hasn't seen any signs of anti-Semitism. The family says he was raised in a house that respects all religions. Yet the prosecutors say he was Googling, why did Hitler hate the Jews? Looking up temples near me, wrote about Nazi culture, had a swastika and a Star of David, and was checking police protection at synagogues near him just before this attack. So doesn't that show the opposite, that can you be mentally ill but be in your right mind with something like this?
The answer is possibly.
Yeah.
And the way it works, particularly in the federal system, you're going to have him evaluated. He's going to be put in. They're going to make a 2-pronged determination. One, whether he's competent to stand trial. And secondly, whether, if he is competent, what effect was there a diminished capacity? Well, that's a potential defense that his lawyers are going to attack. So that may actually cut into a tent. Here, I think what the feds are doing, jumping on this before the state is, I think is inappropriate. I mean, if you look at the complaint, I've read the complaint, it's only 6 pages. While you mentioned some of the things that they also do, one of the things that's what they call the nexus, the federal nexus, is the fact that this machete was made in China. So that basically anybody with a toy who attacks somebody else could now be charged with a federal hate crime. So it's important to understand that the state hasn't charged him with a hate crime.
Yeah.
And so, this is an ongoing investigation. And even they have footnotes in there that say that some members of the Black Israelites, which apparently he went to some service, have expressed some anti-Semitic views. Well, some members of various groups, of many groups, have expressed anti-Semitic views. That doesn't mean that this is a hate crime. And I think that, when you have this situation, you've got to be careful. And the feds have really just jumped too far ahead, too soon.
I think one of the biggest concerns, too, is don't overcharge. You have so much evidence. You have so many witnesses. You have so many victims. You have so much evidence already circling the wagons, showing that if this suspect, if all of this falls into place, you can get a conviction. Once you start to muddy those waters and start to bring in some of the other issues that they want to prove, it may not be necessary. Just looking at what he's charged with, it's 25 years per count. He will never see the light of day if he's convicted of those 6 attempted murders.
But if you ignore the potential anti-Semitic aspect of this attack, isn't that excusing hate crimes, hate speech, what we have sadly been seeing increase in this country recently?
Of course. I mean, that's a great point, Eric, and that's something that we can't just shy away from. If there are signs of it, of course, prosecute. But make sure that if you're going to prosecute for those additional charges, bring in the federal prosecutors as well to ensure that you have that evidence. You want to make sure that someone like this, who, if all the evidence plays out that he committed these crimes, because right now he's still a suspect, You don't want him in society. You want him to be in either an institution if he's criminally insane for the rest of his life, or paying that price, those penalties, in a prison facility.
Vinoo, what did the family have to show? They say he had mental illness, severe depression, maybe he was off his meds. You know, I mean, what type of records do they show, and how does that intersect with the potential anti-Semitic journals that he had?
Well, I think his lawyers have they're cataloging it, and apparently they've gone into it faster than the feds have, which is kind of unusual here. I want to go back to something you just said.
Yeah.
Hate speech versus hate crime, right? Just because somebody is expressing hate speech doesn't mean that's against the law, right? And because that's what Governor Cuomo is trying to do now. He was on CNN the other night talking about the fact that social media allows hate speech to come out. Well, is he trying to stop violence? Violence is one thing. Stopping violence is one thing. But legislating or trying to prevent people from thinking, that's protected by the First Amendment.
But what do authorities do? I mean, we do have the First Amendment, of course, but what if someone's yelling or screaming anti-Semitic remarks on the street against someone who's wearing a yarmulke? Is that a crime? What do authorities do about that? Isn't that harassment?
Sure, it can be considered criminal harassment, and it could be a hate crime as well, depending on what level of harassment.
Like that lady spitting on someone in an open car that Arthel just read. I mean,
that's an assault.
An assault.
Right.
Wow.
Well, I think you're looking at this,
assault.
Right? So if you look at the hate crime legislation, and having been a prosecutor and seeing some of these cases prosecuted, I think these hate crimes statutes are actually quite dangerous, because now you're leaving it up to a prosecutor to determine whether to prosecute somebody. What the effect of these charges do is that it elevates. So something that would normally be, as Mercedes mentioned, a harassment, which is not a criminal action, becomes a criminal action, and now somebody could go to jail for a long time if they say it's motivated by hate.
Well, it's horrible. It's been increasing and continuing, and it has to stop. Scary, and people must be educated, and it's shameful.
It's got to stop for sure.
Mercedes and Vinoo, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.